Hello and welcome to the Bold Leadership Stories Show, where we talk about the experiences shaping exceptional lives. And today I've got Teodora Moga, and Teodora is in her beautiful backyard right now in Colorado near Denver, and I'm totally jealous. I love it there. I'm a snow skier, and I've spent many wonderful days skiing the slopes up in that area and in the summertime going up to the mountains and enjoying all the flora and fauna up there. So it's beautiful country. Looks like you're having a really nice day.
It's gorgeous here in Colorado. Hello, Jim. How are you? Thank you so much
Hi.
for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, Teodora. I'm glad you could join me today on the show. So Teodora, she has a really cool background. She is from Romania, and she was born in Romania. She's had, she became a citizen by through marriage and married another gentleman, a gentleman who is from Romania, and you have a daughter.
Yes,
That's great. And so, and that marriage has since that time dissolved, and
it's
now
all
you're a
good.
single mom.
Yeah.
Single mom. So
I've been a single mom since 2013, actually an only parent since then.
okay.
And I want to clarify this because if people hear that, oh, so Teodora became a US citizen through marriage as, coming from Romania, a lot of people might have the idea that maybe I did that on purpose so that I can stay in America. That's not the case.
Okay. All right.
I actually fell in love with my husband and I was going to go back to Romania. So I came as an international nanny. I came as an au pair.
Ah,
And
okay.
I met my daughter's father. I met him when I was in the contract and my I came with the contract for a year. So my contract was going to expire. I had to go back to Romania because my visa expired.
Right.
Was about to expire. It was not yet. And we were dating at the time. We met because I was extremely homesick. It was the first time I left the country. I left my family. I was on the other side of the world.
You have brothers and sisters, right? You
I,
have
I have two sisters. Yes,
two sisters, and where are you in the pecking order?
I'm the youngest.
Oh,
I'm
you're the baby. Okay, so leaving that is tough.
yeah. So I wanted to go back, but he said, we should get married and just live a beautiful forever in love life.
Mhm.
And so I was very much in love. We had a beautiful 6-year marriage. It was not the purpose of our marriage was love and building a family, not citizenship. That was not on the my thoughts.
All right,
Yeah.
very good. So you kind of like the Cinderella situation. You come here, you get meet the man of your dreams, and then you got married, had a wonderful daughter, and things just didn't work out. So now, what do you do?
So now you figure out what do you love to do? What do you want to do with life? I was a stay-at-home mom during the divorce. We were making enough money, and I took care of our daughter. And then the divorce happened, and I was left with a little bit of savings that was split between us and nothing in my daughter. And so I had to figure out what do I like, what do I want to do, get a job. And so I started working as a florist. I
Oh, okay.
love I love doing flowers. I love doing floral arrangements. It's in my passion. It's one of my hobbies. I still do it as a hobby here for friends and family. We do have a flower shop as a family business in Romania.
Okay.
My mom and my sisters are working in the shop and keeping it up. So I worked as a manager in the grocery store as a floral manager here in Colorado. And
Okay.
worked that for 7 years.
Okay.
And then the world shut off. Like it was nothing else. Was COVID happened in 2020 is when I decided that maybe it's time to do something else. And I'm gonna tell you why. And I'm going to be honest and bold here, even if we're going to publish this and it's going to go off. I was a really talented floral manager and I did phenomenal arrangements and I raised the sales in that store, off the roof. I was really very good. I had a people personality and the store was doing very good. And I asked for $1 raise and the union and the corporate came back and said, who do you think you are? And so I put it in my mind, I'm going to show you who I am.
Good for you. All right. I love that.
And I quit.
Okay.
And I started
That was a bold move.
Yes. Yes. My business was not where it was supported my income, but I just quit. I did not want to be there.
So what was going through your mind when you did that? Was it how'd you feel when you made that decision?
Empowered. When people tell a Romanian person they can do it, the power in us comes out and says, watch me.
Okay. So
you cannot tell Teodora she can do something.
DNA?
Yes. Yeah. You can't tell me I can't do something. And so when I asked for more and it was not given to me and they said, who do you think you are? My mind said, I am an amazing person who's going to do amazing things. And this is not the value that I bring to people around me doesn't match with the income, $16 an hour that they're paying me. So I had to go for more.
Okay. And how was that decision? Obviously it worked for you.
Well,
but there must have been some challenges there.
It was very challenging because.
Was your daughter scared?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Good.
My daughter loved it because I was at home. So now I started the business and we were in full COVID. So I got to work from home and I joined a financial services national company and now I was working from home.
Okay.
I build my business every day and she loved it because I worked in my backyard. She would be in the pool, on the trampoline. I'm hungry. Okay, let's go eat. Hey, let's go do this. We're all the time together. I had the flexibility. She's an extremely understanding child. So if I said, hey, I have a meeting from this time to this time, she would be like, okay, mom, I'll be doing my thing. So for her, it was great. For me, it was challenging, but I loved it because now I got to really prove the world who Teodora is. And I had in the back of my mind, them saying, who are you? Mm-hmm. I said, I'll show you. So now I had to live up to the challenge to show them, right? So I'm not disappointing myself first and then the world.
Ah, excellent. I love that. I love that spirit. It's like, you gotta dig deep and say, well, the odds are against me, but I'm gonna prevail, and that's what winning's all about.
That's how we go further. And I have to tell you the fact that in my business, I get to help others. And so there was a very interesting mind shift change that I had to make because now there was not the job schedule that you go and you're like, okay, from 9 to 5, I'm going there to work. Now you have to make your schedule and be disciplined, organized, and committed to say, I'm sitting down from this time to this time and I'm committed to work my business. Right. It's so easy to get distracted and have friends that want to come over and have, events, concerts, patios, especially in the summer. It was good that COVID locked us at home so I could work. We didn't have much distraction 3 years ago, but you still have to have the discipline.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what were some of the challenges that you faced in making that transition, that conversion from being an employee to being, an entrepreneur?
I think the most challenging part was the morning schedule where I love to sleep in, but by the time that I would be at my desk, maybe at 10, 11, it's already afternoon on the East Coast. Our home office is on the East Coast, so then it was so hard to get through the phone calls or, have anything going on. And then at night, it's 6 o'clock, it's dark. Okay, the day's over. So having that mindset where you really have to commit your time and set a schedule and block and work it, that was the first most challenging part of running my business when I started. And then I had to learn a lot about leadership and motivating the team. I had to motivate myself and then others, because then as the business grew, I had to hire people and build a team, and now I was a team leader. So you can't really slack on sleeping in the morning when your team needs you to be there.
What kind of a leader are you?
What kind of a leader I am? Um, I want to say that I build relationships, and I lead. I want to say I lead by example, and I want, but that's I want my team to speak on that. It's so hard to for me to.
You might have a different, they might come back and say something completely different, right?
I I hope they're not. I hope they see me. I mean, I can tell you probably most likely 100% of my team would say that I am a good person first, and I'm always eager to help and being there for everybody. I am a good listener. I do like to talk, but now reaching the point where, I got a few promotions in my business and now I'm leading a bigger and a bigger team. So I've learned a lot how to listen more than talk.
Okay.
And by
So
that, and
what
then
is
I
that? How do you learn to listen? Because you know, to make
shut
that,
up,
just shut up. But
shut up.
okay, sometimes
Yeah.
that's really hard.
So asking questions, I had a meeting with one of my team members earlier today, and going through some challenging times for him in his business. I've learned how to ask questions where the questions that I ask will make him think about the answer that he's giving me, to where it would click on him and he's got the answers that will make sense for him where he is in his business.
Okay, so is it like in selling? I've sold my whole career. One of the things that I learned, and it's an art, is asking questions, uh, and being able to do that in a sales situation. And I found that the better I was at that, the better I was able to establish a relationship, and at the same time drive the conversation, by asking questions. But you try not to be leading too much.
Right.
That's why it's an art. Otherwise, they just go, they shut down. So, how do
So
you
building
manage that
relationship.
with what you're doing?
Building the relationship.
Yeah.
Always there. My house is always open. I entertain. I bring people together. I like to help. I like to be present. I always ask people, how are you doing? I engage. I keep them engaged. I train my team.
What's your favorite topic to train on?
Well, we're training on, the specifics of our business in financial services.
Okay.
So training that we have is a little bit about product, a lot about motivation and mindset, which I think that's my favorite topic.
Okay.
And then a little bit of solving problems that my agents encounter, and answering questions and getting them, again, connecting to see where everybody is and how can I help them move forward with what they're doing, so that everybody can reach the next level. But I think mindset. I hear a lot of my friends that are not part of my business, they won't be clients or just friends. They all tell me that I should have a PhD motivation. And what one of my friends said the other day, I need you to be my psychologist. And she always asks, okay, what do I listen to next? What are you listening to this morning? How do I do this? I'm crying today. What do I do? And they just call me because they say I'm super positive all the time against everything that I go through. And it's always motivation, empowering to them. It's motivating. They're thinking, well, if Theodora can do it, what am I crying about?
Wow, that's awesome. That's the best kind of leader. I've been around a lot of different leaders, and the best ones are, they roll their sleeves up. They're in the mix. They're on the coal face, as they say, and they're actually doing the things that, the basics that make you successful. It's a lot of times I've seen leaders that I haven't respected as much. They get to a point where then they just back away and they forget about the the daily success patterns and the habits that got them where they are, and eventually they end up becoming irrelevant.
I have to tell you a story.
Yeah, please.
You have
I
time
love
for this?
stories.
It's quick. It's quick. I promise.
Oh, good.
When so Valentine's Day in floral department is huge, right?
Right. Oh, yeah,
And I
for sure.
always, I ran a department by myself. Sometimes I would have a clerk, sometimes not. So I was even a leader before I was even a leader in my business. But so on Valentine's Day, my store was selling a lot, a lot. We would have such a high volume and so many flowers coming and orders and clients. So I had a large team, and it was very hard for people in the store to disconnect from what they're doing every day to come help in the floral department for the holiday, right?
Mhm.
But I was always going, and I asked them very nice if they would like to come help. I promised to make it fun. I never overworked people, but I was always very supportive. And then we have the corporate visit. They come every holiday to just make their presence, make the walk, give you crap because you're not good enough and it doesn't look good and all that negative stuff.
Skills.
Yes. So
Fly in and poop on you and leave.
yeah. So here comes the district manager, and he says, oh, it looks good. You could do this. You could do this. You could do that. Okay. How many people are in your team? And I said 9. And he gives me 9. No, yes, I said 9. He gives me 9 $5 gift card for the store to go buy them lunch. I was the 10th.
So he forgot you.
He gave me 9 because 9 was my team. He didn't give me 10. So that leadership to me said, you know what? I don't matter. My image of him was that he did not value me. He valued the business, and he saw, everybody else besides me. So I'm trying not to do that because
So what was the lesson there for you?
that corporate doesn't give a crap about me. And I have to tell you, the minute that I left, they replaced me just like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're like shark's teeth. They move new one in, and somebody else gets to be the brunt of their abuse.
So I've learned that, you know what, everybody in my team is treated the same, no matter what month we had, no matter if they're going through something and I know about it. I want to make sure that I treat them well and I lift them up and I put them in a position where they feel good, so that it's an empowering. We're all together, and it's not that my team got gift cards and I didn't. I have to make sure that everybody gets a gift card. And if I leave myself out, that's a different story, but everybody in my team will get a gift card. If I have a party and I don't eat anything, I make sure that my people leave full when they leave my house.
I think that's the sign of a good leader. Have that. It's your team. It's the people. It's not the products. It's not the service. It's not whatever it is you're selling. It's the people.
It's the people. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Richard Branson talks about that. The most important thing in your business, before everything, even customers are your employees.
Yes.
So good on you. It's a good lesson. You've learned well.
But I think we learned leadership really truly from when we're babies. We see mom and dad being leaders of the family. And I grew up in a very tight family. Mom and dad were a great team. They were, very tight. They were married for like 40 something years until dad passed. My mom was 18 and they were married since young till the end of time. And I've learned leadership from home, I want to say, because my dad was the leader of the family. My mom was behind him. I don't want to say as a follower because they were both together making decisions. She would make the decision, he would empower her and lead with the decision. That's how I see it as it worked, because he would never make a decision without her. And she would always consult him. So they were all together, a powerful team and leaders to us as kids. That's how I grew up.
Wonderful legacy they're built in you and that you're passing along. And you're doing it too. That's one of the things I don't like about the corporate. There's a lot of good stuff about corporate, but there's a lot of stuff that could be done better. And I think you've touched on one from me too, is that I was a corporate guy for 30 years. And I got to a point where I let that environment become me. And I became a corporate chameleon, where I became another person, and it wasn't me. It wasn't who I am. And when I left that world, I was like, who am I? Where am I? What's my purpose? What do I do? And I had to go through this whole, I'm still working on it, but it's you gotta marry the two together and you can't lose sight of yourself.
Right.
And it looks like, you're doing a good job of making that happen. And also including your daughter, and that she sees everything you've got going on, and she's learning and picking all that up too. That's success. So that's beautiful. I love to see that.
It's incredible, the changes that I was able to once I left corporate. And it was a struggle to leave the negative mindset, because you hear over and over again that you have to do more and you're not good enough, and your department doesn't look good, and even though you make these beautiful arrangements and they come in and you're prepared, and they come in and say, well, this is it, and you worked your butt off to present that the best you could, and it's something negative coming in, when you leave that, I almost felt like I dropped, a weight off my shoulders, and now I can really shine and be who I am, because I'm amazing and I'm, a good person, and I can make beautiful things happen for people. And I didn't need to hear that all the time. So the reading books was a must for me, so that
what are your favorite books? Who's your favorite?
Brian Tracy.
Cool. Yeah.
Hands down, Brian Tracy goals. And he wrote a lot of books. There's a lot of books on leadership. A.L. Williams, which is the founder of our company, All You Can Do Is All You Can Do, and All You Can Do Is Enough. That's a phenomenal book. It's a must. Like, all we can do is everything we have, and that is enough, because that's all we got. And for who accepts that, it puts us in a good state of mind, because now we're accomplished, because that's all we can do. Once we understand that, it allows us to grow. And speaking of Alma, I was so impressed with her attitude this year about going to Romania and wanted to be there.
Yeah, you just got back from a trip, didn't you? Like, you're going back and forth
I do. I commute to Romania in the summer.
That's a heck of a commute.
It's very long, it's very tiring, but I've learned that I can read a book or two, depends how thick they are. I
Uh,
can maybe watch a movie, but I'd rather listen to some music, take a nap, and then I'm home.
you get to
And I
see
did.
moms and get kind of reacquainted with everybody. You have families all back there, right?
Yes, it's just Almana here. So it's just us. This year, so last year, Alma had a hard time connecting with my family. It was my niece is 3 years older, 4 years older, and we were all hoping that they would be better friends. And last year, something happened. They disconnected, and she didn't want to go anymore.
Mm.
And I was supportive of that, and I encouraged her, to do what her heart wants to do. However, to see that, being on vacation, being here, she will be free. I'm busy. Wouldn't be better to just go and spend time with my mom? She's a little older, and then she came up with,
Staying there now, and you're here.
yeah, Alma's in Romania.
Oh wow, so that must be really hard.
But listen to why she wanted to
Temporary
go.
though, right?
Actually. Listen to why she wanted to go.
Okay,
It's hard. I mean, it's not.
I
She
guess.
wanted to go because she wants to work in the shop and make money. She wants to earn $3,000 this summer.
How old is she?
11.
Yeah, I tell you what, with these interviews, those leaders that I get to interview, a lot of them start at that age. They 9, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. They start doing something, and so that's awesome.
She sees me working hard to provide for the both of us, to maintain, to grow what we have. And she's always lately, so I started the business 3 years ago and I put a lot of effort into it. And lately she said, well, I want to start a business. So she's almost like a copycat, and I'm not even intentional on that. I'm just, growing, but she sees. So leading by example will always show the most and best results, because people want to be somebody. And when they see somebody shine, positive, happy, accomplished, they want to be that. So the best leadership example is us. Everybody wants to be somebody.
Excellent. Well, I wanted to ask you, how did you settle on the financial world with all the options that I'm sure you had available? What was it that piqued your interest there?
It's true. I could have started a business. I could have started a flower shop. I have a crazy talent. I look at flowers and I throw them together, and there's these huge arrangements that are just so different and gorgeous.
Yeah.
I could have done that, but it was COVID. I struggled myself. I had a lot of credit card debt because when I was little, I worked, so I have a mortgage, and I worked in the grocery store, 17, 18. I think I was making 18.36 an hour.
Okay.
And I had
Which is
daycare
pretty good for the grocery store.
as a manager,
Yeah. So
but I had daycare.
yeah, all that and clothes and all that stuff, the commute and the car and insurance and the house.
Daycare,
By the time you're done,
mortgage, and bills was more than my income. So a lot of what I was making, and I was always trying to catch up, and I would make, flowers on the side, but I had credit card debt. So I had to look into what am I doing? And then COVID happened, and I thought, what do people do? And I found ways to get, pay off my credit card debt, and I always worked hard, and I was fine. But then COVID hit, and I said, I need to teach people what I did.
okay.
I need to help others, because I recognize people lost their jobs, people lost their income. There was no money, was not, available. We couldn't just go out and get a third job because there were no jobs. Restaurant people didn't have jobs anymore. Everybody was staying at home. So I thought finances is needed, and it's needed now. Financial education is needed now. And so I started talking to people, and I went into this company. I'm with Primerica, and it's amazing what we do for people. So the way that I did it, I started teaching, and I recognized the need, and that's what fueled up my business.
So what is it that you're finding people need the most help with at this point in general?
Right now, people
Yeah.
need to make money and get out of debt.
Okay, makes
Make
sense.
more money, make more money. People are not making enough money. And the financial education is definitely needed because people don't know what the rule of 72 is.
I was just gonna say, yeah, the rule of 72 is like
Compound interest. Compound interest is not taught in school. Financial education is not taught. And most people learn from parents, but our, 2023 is different than 1957.
yeah. Well, it's like it's like my mom. I used to ask my mom, who was a college degree English major, really smart. I used to ask her questions about math. She was good at math,
Mhm.
and of course, when I was growing up, it was new math. And it's probably new math now. But I'd go, I'd ask her to go, Mom, can you help me with this problem? And she'd look at, okay, well, this is how I would do it. And she'd do it her way and get the same answer that I would get. And hers was always like 3 steps less. Hers was always faster and easier than the way I was learning they were teaching me how to do it. But it was different. So I was like, Mom, I can't do it that way. So I think they do that on purpose, just to keep parents apart. I don't know. That's a conspiracy theory right there.
I think it might be different, but it's definitely different times that we live.
Yeah.
And our parents never, use so much credit. Maybe we're not.
No.
I grew up with everything cash. I didn't even know how to use a credit card until I came to America.
Right.
My American mother gave me a credit card and said, "This is for gas and groceries." And I was like, "What is this?"
It's free money. Right.
I didn't know what that is. And then as being, on my own, when I had access to money that I had no emotional attachment to, it was so easy to slide the card.
Yeah. It gets really easy. It's yeah, scary. So yeah, I can see it. I've been there too. It's pretty common to get stuck, because I was at a point in my career where I had it set up where I'd get bonuses. So I got to a point where I got like, okay, well, I'm going to get a bonus in the next 3 months. So I spend before I get it, right? Stupid. And then one time I didn't get a bonus, and I was like, oh, well, whoops. And then you've got this debt service, and then you look at the interest rate on these credit cards, and you go, how can they charge 19 to, was it? So I think one of them at one point was like 25%.
Mm-hmm.
And because you miss one payment, and all of a sudden, whoop, it goes up to the max. And it's like usury. I don't understand how they can get away with it. But anyway, they do. And so that it's important to figure out a way, I think, for especially young families, because of the rule of 72 and the time value of money, to be able to pay that credit. If you got to use a credit card, fine, it's convenient, but pay it off at the end of the month.
The problem is so many people can't pay it off, and then it accumulates and accumulates, and they don't know how to get out of it.
That's very common. Yeah.
They don't know how to get out of it. They don't. And then
if you add that into it, you add like, okay, you're at risk. What happens if you get laid off? What happens if your the job or the company that you're working for gets acquired? That happened to me. What happens if they switch insurance providers for you, and your cash flow requirements increase because to keep the same insurance, you've got to pay more every month. So, what do you do? Or if somebody gets sick, and you've got a healthcare bill that your insurance didn't cover. Like, it's crazy. It's the risks, and people don't understand the risks that they're in. And if, well, I'm employed, my employer's going to take care of all that for me, right?
Well, they don't, and
They
it
don't.
happens. And the worst case is when the life insurance is not paid out because
Yeah,
there's an accident.
yeah.
And there's a tragic accident that didn't happen at work.
Mhm.
The life insurance says, well, you didn't die at work, we're not paying this out,
Right.
and you're left with nothing.
Yeah.
The family's left with such an awful financial burden.
Yeah. Oh, it's debilitating. I think bankruptcy in the United States right now is the biggest contributor to personal bankruptcy is healthcare bills.
So that's what we do, and we're in a crusade to, fight for the right thing, fight for what's good for the families. Middle income families don't have the financial education, but don't even have the help from big companies. I know I can name companies, but they don't even sit down. I was one of them. I should talk by, sharing my stories. When we moved back to Colorado, my husband at the time and I had $25,000 in savings.
Mhm.
I didn't have a job. He was recently just out of the army from the military. And we went to talk to a financial advisor because I wanted to start a business, wanted to do something. And he looked at us and he said, you don't have enough money. Why are you here? We had 25,000 in our savings, no debt,
That's not even, you can't even get in the door with that.
no mortgage, no debt, and 25,000. And the financial advisor didn't want to sit down with us.
Wow.
So middle income families that are at a loss, that's where we come in and we help. I opened Alma's investment account with $1,000.
Okay. That's awesome. It's good.
And she's
That's needed. That's really helpful. That's really where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. I think for what's needed in most middle income families today, it's like it's so important to take care of that. And the other part is your retirement.
Mhm.
That's another thing. Like if you lose your job or something stressful comes up and you say, well, I'm not going to fund my retirement this year, or your 401k stops because you switch jobs and you don't maybe put it back in, or and when you really look at the 401k, is that the best thing to be doing? It's a good question to ask yourself.
You cannot, if you don't have an emergency account, you can't take money out of a 401k without being highly penalized.
Yeah, it's debilitating. It's really brutal.
If we don't have somebody that holds our hand and says, hey, you need, like, this is a plan, and we put together the plan, and here's the plan for you, and you just follow these steps and you're going to be set. Who does that for our families?
Nobody.
We do.
Well, we have to. Yeah, we have to take responsibility for that, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that's where I saw the need. I saw the importance. I went in the business so that I can help other people. I never thought about me. I think I use as a motivation, who do you think you are? That's always in the back of my mind. Who do you think you are? But I never think about me, how much money do I make? No, I always think about how can I help this family? I go and sit down at the kitchen table and I, talk about who we are and what we do. And I think, how can we help them? How can I help this family? I never think about how much money I make. And so many times I drive to Fort Collins and I don't make any money, and it doesn't matter. I feel good because I was there helping them. And that's how I think my team is able to do amazing things. And I lead by example because of the person that I am. And it's always hard to talk about yourself when you speak like that, but it's true.
That aspect of giving till it hurts and then giving more is so, I think that's another trait that I notice of people who are winners or leaders. They don't win all the time. They're looking at the long game, and they're looking at they have to look at themselves in the mirror, and they're like, okay, who am I? What's my purpose? Why am I here? What is it that I'm bringing to the table in terms of value? And they know that, giving that away, giving their value away will come back, and it comes back tenfold, 20-fold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. And you just don't worry about how long it's going to take. It'll take its time, whatever it takes, but it will come back. And
Yeah.
that's what I think leadership really is all about. Stepping out on faith and going into the unknown and stepping into that space and saying, this is my purpose, and I'm just going to do this until I die. It's like there's no turning back, and that's what a common denominator here, and it evokes an energy that goes out, and
Yeah.
there's no real way to describe it empirically, but it's real.
100%. It's magnetic.
Yes.
It's magnetic, and it's attraction.
Mm-hmm.
It's the law of attraction. We know that the person that you are and who you are is, who you attract. And the more good you do, the more good things happen to you and for you.
Yeah.
And
I see you doing that. And that's really beautiful. It's you're taking those steps. You're doing the right things from what I've seen. So
thank you.
And
I appreciate
the
it.
evidence is clear. So our time is about up. I've got one more question. You have time for one more question?
I do, and
Okay.
And then we're both going to run.
Yeah. Well, I ask this of everybody, and it's taking a look at your whole life and the leadership decisions that you've made. What was the boldest leadership decision that you made, and what were the consequences?
The boldest leadership decision I made.
Mm-hmm. And what were the consequences?
So in the life of my business, I work with leaders, in different stages of their business, right? I am leading. I have a director that I work with, and I have people that I'm leading myself. And so one of the bold decisions was to leave my office. I actually left because there were a few things that I did not agree with their leadership style. And so I left. And the consequence was good for me, because when you're not in agreement with everything around you, I feel like you cannot shine and you cannot give your best. When things are not settled to be good for you to feel good and give the best that you can, that you have, then you just can't be the best, right? So what I did, I left my office, and the consequence was incredible, because the minute I did that and I went, channeled a little higher, I was able to shine a different shine, because now I was happy. So it was bold, and it was, I don't know, unexpected maybe. I don't know. I'm not the type of person to stay where I don't want to stay. Like, I left Romania. I left my country. I left my family. So leaving the office was no brainer. I was not happy there. I had to do something more. I had to make a change. And so I left. And I went, I made that decision, and I made the arrangements that were necessary, and I started shining brighter.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. in your stories today. It was so funny. We go so fast. I can't believe that we're almost done. Thank you, Teodora, for spending some time on the show today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here to, help others and share my life, my journey, and everything. And if there's any questions, feel free to contact me.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll put your info up on the show notes.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. You're the best. Love
All
it.
the best. Bye-bye.
Bye.